Okay, it's 5:30. Oh, we should say 3 or something. Order a few seats here. We'll sit on the bench and not bend. Well, should we sit over there first and not bend? She's like, well, you can sit. It's good. I never been. I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting, traditional lands of the Indian people. And are grateful to that, and they're continuing to allow us to do that. Let's see, roll call, is Deb online?
I don't see that anybody has joined online yet.
Okay, Megan said I was going to make it, but you're here.
No, I didn't say that, so maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was Jen.
It was Jen too, but I'm sorry. No, I'll acknowledge that you are here with us. What have you been reading, Megan?
I've been reading We Are the Ocean, which is a book by a Polynesian writer. I had read Playground, which takes place in Polynesia a bit, and I wanted to listen to something by someone. Yeah, really good one.
Olivia.
I am currently reading Venus Matchbox by Yoko Ogawa. I read a book of hers called The Memory Police in January, and this one is a lot less intense. I've only gotten like a third of it through it, but so far it's mostly about like class divides in a Japanese family. Middle school age girl goes to live with her much wealthier relatives for the summer. And on the trains to be a seamstress, so that's as far as I got. So
That's good.
I'll update you.
And Jen did say she probably wouldn't be able to make it. Mark?
Sure. So I'm reading this book called Ada Blackjack. So I'm reading it at work for a book club that I do for Alaska. And it's a book about a native woman who was part of a 5-person expedition to Wrangel Island in Siberia in 1921. And she's the sole survivor. So it's but I really love it because it's tied in with some of my family history, and I brought on my family history books here.
Oh, neat. Cool.
Wait.
I'm reading The Shadows of the Men by Aber Mukherjee, and he's a British author of Indian descent. And he has a series of mystery novels set in India during the Raj. And it's a Hindu police sergeant with an English police lieutenant. And it's successive first-person narrative. They, one will take a turn and then the other one takes a turn. And they're very good books. I've read 2 or 3 of them before this one. I think there's about 7 in the series.
Rachel, I'm unclear about Rachel's status. Has anybody heard from Rachel?
I have not. I mean, I did talk with someone from the municipality, just about appointments, but I don't think she's expressed. I don't think she filled out an application.
I did write her.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, but I'll find what the formal way that is for knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, they're working through them, is what I heard, but
Yeah, and have you and Mark heard back from your applications?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the
That's
website.
right, you.
the weights, yeah. It's just Mark and Megan, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that there.
Hold our breaths for. I'm sure you're acceptable board members.
How long do we stay in interim status till you kick us out? So,
It was
They-
February, right?
That's what I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
February. He said it'll take a little while. So
Okay.
yeah, don't lose patience.
And I'm reading Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. I love him too. And gladness is not a emotional state, it's the name of the town
Oh.
he lives in, although he doesn't even live in Glen, he's whatever. Then it's worse, I'm 50 pages in and it's, we have guests. I have a, yeah, I have a guest. I appreciate that.
I do love Ocean Vuong. I like everything that he writes, and I think he's such a profound thinker. And I want him to come to age. So I am currently reading, I just finished The Thief and The Guardian. That's by a young woman from India, Kolkata. It was really good, and I went immediately into Chakra Sincor, who writes about freedom of the mind. And he spent 19 years incarcerated, 7 of those in solitary confinement. And it is a profound.
I'm Michelle. And I'm actually rereading the 4 agreements, just because I need to get my mind reset, so. And I'm working on retirement, so I'm reading a lot of retirement papers and rereading the 4 agreements.
Michelle, are you from Kansas?
I'm from here, but I went to school at KU and I have a lot of family in Wichita, Kansas.
I'm originally from Casey.
Oh, okay, all right.
So do you know each other?
No.
I actually know the man who designed the Jayhawk.
Oh, okay. Oh.
My dad used to work for him.
What's your last name?
Moore Jones.
Morgan. Okay, you had a chance to look over the agenda. And if you haven't, I like it, if you like to move to this.
I seconded.
Please, who's all in favor of putting the agenda? Yes, we do. And the minutes from the last meeting? All in favor? Thank you.
I'll second.
For a second. Okay. Okay, I think Margie, you are on our agenda.
Okay. So you all should have a copy of the ordinance that will go into effect January 1st, which is this rather substantial piece of paper, stack of papers. So I went to a training, so to speak, for those who staff boards and commissions, and kind of got information about this. And then I was told that we should kind of present it to you all so that we're all aware of the changes and so on. So I just thought I've kind of highlighted some things. So I thought maybe we could just go through it and I can just, some of it's not relevant to us, but there is a lot that is, and it goes into effect January 1st. And so, let's see. So I guess if you could just kind of take the handout, which is the ordinance, and then we'll like go through it. So page 4. So a lot of this actually has to do with things that I think internally we as staff will be doing. So it's like Rebecca and I, along with our online services librarian, talked about how we'll be posting like the recordings and the minutes and things like that. And so this kind of goes through specifics. So there's definitely details in here. And actually, if you go to, where is it? Which tab is that? Near the end here. At the very end, there's a memo or a letter that talks about what the primary changes are. And so really it was to update the language in the code to be similar to the Open Meetings Act. and to provide consistency between assembly, school board, boards and commissions, and LRSA boards, to follow best practices with current technology, and to provide detailed information on how to follow the law. So I think it's going to be very helpful to us. So, so they talk about the minutes on page 4. And it says an electronic recording of the public meeting or written action minutes of the action occurring at the meeting, unless both are required by this chapter or elsewhere in code. So what we learned is that the written minutes are definitely required and we have to keep them permanently. The recordings aren't necessarily required. We're going to do them and we will be posting them. As far as retention goes, the minutes are permanent and meaning we would never get rid of them. So we will keep them forever. And those are the written minutes, and the recordings would be supplemental, which according to our records retention rules means 6 years. So what we're going to do is we're going to post the minutes and we're going to post the recording for 6 years, and then they'll be on our website. And but then we will retain, through infinity, the minutes somewhere else as well. So, but we'll only have 6 years online. Thought being it'll kind of match 6 and 6. So that's that. So this goes into as well how the minutes and the agenda should be organized. So that's something that we'll kind of get to. What else? So it talks about here where we need to post it and different locations, physical locations, online locations, and that's something that we're working on. So we'll make sure all of that is done so you don't have to worry about that. We'll post everything for you. All right, let's see. How about we go to like page 6 and 7. So this is all about public notice. And so that's really the impetus of this whole thing is public notice, public records, people transparency. And so this is where they have specific rules. So the agenda. So they say here that it shall include at a minimum, and it includes call to order, roll call, minutes of previous meetings, if applicable, disclosures, unfinished business, new business, public participation, and adjournment. So we actually have to have all those categories. We can have more. So like Rebecca and I were talking about maybe after the minutes and before disclosures, we could put the electronic resource and the mission element that we typically do. And that way it would be before any business. And then I guess the business would be like if we review policies or the budget, things like that, those would go under business. And what they kind of told us was that new business, everything is a new business until so once an action is taken under new business, it's done. So then if you bring that topic up again, it's not really unfinished business because you already took action and the action is done. So the only time unfinished business would actually occur is if we did not take action during new business and we said, let's continue this.
By that, it means actually have a motion and.
Yes. And because we're advisory here, there's not a whole lot of like action really. And so that's why I was thinking but your role is to review our policies and to give us recommendations and the budget and all that. And so to me, I guess I would put that under business. But yeah. So then they talk about when all of this has to be posted. And so see, I take my little notes here because we talked about it internally. So it says that I guess it's rules for public notice, at the very end of page 7, the public notice information for regular meetings of any municipal body shall be posted on the municipal public notice website at least 7 days before the meeting. And then it mentions what needs to be included in there. So we will post the notice 7 days. We don't actually have to post the agenda until 24 hours, I believe, ahead of time. So what we kind of came up with the process, and hopefully this works, is that if so the general notice would just include, when we're meeting, where we're going to be meeting. It gives all this information here and just kind of like a general purpose of the meeting. So it wouldn't include all those specifics that the agenda has. So then 24 hours before, we need to post the agenda, which would then give the public an opportunity to see really, specifically what it is we're going to be talking about. So we were thinking that if we could have all the packet information, like the agenda and all the accompanying stuff by Monday morning, then I can send it to Christy, who's our staff person, who puts it into the board packet, and then she posts it on the website. And so that
So
should,
that would be the Monday meeting.
that would be, well, so she will have posted like that we're gonna meet and where we're gonna meet. And the general purpose, which is already on our website about like what the purpose of the library advisory board is, a week ahead of time. But then 24 hours before, she will post that packet. Yep, so if we have it Monday morning, I can give it to her. So 24 hours would be, I guess, Tuesday. I mean, at 5, if we want to be real specific, yeah. So that should work. Does that work for you? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's see. What else did I write down?
So you'll have all the attachments on the website, so then
Yep.
you don't need to be emailed anymore. We can just go to the website.
You can, and actually, let me go to the website now because I can show you.
I like getting,
But
don't limit it.
so here's the website. Yeah, however you want to do it is fine with me. Here's the website, and if you go down, so for instance, Christy adds November 2025, and then we click on it, and this is the whole, she took everything and put it into a packet. So that's kind of what I have up here for us during the meeting. I could just use it, or if you attend remotely, just go to the website and then you'll have everything. Or if anybody who wants to attend remotely, or it will be there. And then I think you probably saw like there's she's got October, September, all of that. So what we're going to do in the future, because right now our minutes are here in the packet, but they're really just they're the unapproved minutes. So like the minutes for October are in the November. So what we're going to do is once, so now we approved the October minutes here, then we're going to take those October minutes, and she's going to redesign this a little, and then we'll put them under October so that you can click on the approved minutes. If that's all you want to do is look at the minutes, then you can just look at the minutes. You don't have to look through the previous month's work packet. So we've got some things that we're going to kind of change a little bit that'll make it easier for people to access. So that's how that's where all this stuff is. And then at the very bottom, I think it is, let's see here, where is it? Or maybe it's up here. Here it is, view recordings. So if you click on like, we haven't been posting the recordings all the time, and they haven't been recorded all the time, but from now on, that's like what we're going to do. And so, but when you click on that, it should take you to a YouTube station for us, or channel for us. And so, and then we're going to have all the recordings here. But like I said, we'll just keep 6 years worth, because that's what we're supposed to retain. Yeah. So, all right, there we go. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's see, what else did I want to point out here? Yeah, it's. So they talk about on page 16 about Robert's rules, and so they mentioned that in the training as well, that that's why we're going to be going through this Robert's rules training today, is because that's the expected what do you call it? That's how we should be conducting our meetings, is per Robert's Rules of Order. Let's see. Yes.
So, I'm realizing that we approved the minutes and the entire Robert's Rules training is ahead of persons to be heard. And it feels like, since we have members of the public, that, we shouldn't subject them to the entire Robert's Rules.
Yeah, no,
Are you suggesting a recall of the agenda?
I'm hoping perhaps an amendment to the agenda. Yeah.
we could. I was just noticing though in the order of the the topics, they do put public participation right before adjournment. And I don't know if that's because maybe if the public reads the agenda and there's something on there that they want to comment about, then
They know.
yeah, they would have heard everything so that they can actually comment on, as opposed, like if we were reviewing a policy and the policy is of interest to them, they'd have to, but we could always call the motion to like move it to the top if who's ever here, prefers that or something.
Just through the Robert's Rules training after persons to be heard.
A second.
All in favor of that one?
I'm fine with.
Okay. Let's see, what else did I have? So yeah, so I think most of what I mentioned, there was some other, you didn't highlight a lot because it really didn't pertain to us mostly. I mean, they basically say if you don't follow this, then any action is voidable. So follow it, and then how to make it actually correct is you'd have to have another meeting. So there's that. But once again, because we're advisory, it's not necessarily, they're lumping it all together, all like the assembly rules and all different types of boards and commissions are a part of this. And so one of the things I took note on though here, and it says it in here as well, it would be good to create a rule for public participation or a policy, just so that we have it, so that we apply it, equally across the board. So that might be something we want to do, because I guess I don't think we have that. Like how if we want to come up with the time and all that, and then it was mentioned too that during public participation, the intent is for public to participate. They can speak on anything they want. It doesn't have to be on the agenda for them to speak on something. They can speak on whatever they want. The board does not participate during the public participation. It's more encourage the public to reach out to staff, things like that. Those were just some things that they mentioned, and that to have a rule. So that the public participation one is, where does it say here? 16. C, a board or commission may establish reasonable rules and regulations under procedures 3.4. I think that's the part in here, but essentially that's what we were told in the training, is that you can create rules and regulations. And that one of the things that they suggested to do that is for public participation, just so that we apply it equally. So I think that's a good idea. And then they said that we have to, well, you all have to watch these training videos by January 1st. And so we're going to watch half of one today. I guess we can watch the other half next time. And there's another one that I didn't even share with you that's 30 minutes. So I'll send that to you. And another thing they said was having to do with, so this all has to do with open meetings and public input and transparency. And so they also mentioned as far as emailing goes. So I know currently, like, I'll email you, you'll email me about the agenda and things like that, but typically we shouldn't be emailing each other. That, like, I shouldn't be, the whole group, that would be like in violation of, yeah. And so just kind of a reminder, and I was given, like, maybe you could use this phrase if for some reason, and I don't know if we've ever emailed the whole group before, but if there's some reason that it's necessary to just remind people that don't reply to me in that, like, not, it says you may reply only to me, but don't reply, like, don't have a conversation going back and forth with everybody, because then that's just like a meeting. Yes,
But we did run afoul of this.
I'm sorry,
We did run afoul of the open meetings law a while ago.
with the letter that we were,
No,
Oh.
not us. You weren't here yet.
okay, got it. No, because I was wondering with that letter, but it was just me and you, so that didn't matter.
But we're told that it
Yeah.
But we were told that for the purposes of district practices and, if the question, if the time changes or things like that, meeting specific information, that we don't get into a conversation. I didn't like that piece of my, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have a discussion about it, but announcements and things. So it's just like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. I saw something in here. I don't know if I tabbed it or not. Let me see where it actually talked about. Yeah, page 9. When it says D, no public notice of a meeting of members of a municipal body is required when that meeting occurs at a scheduled event or gathering not otherwise subject to this chapter, so long as the gathering is open to the public, is of such general community interest that members in the municipal body present would reasonably be expected to attend, is publicized more broadly, these things. And it mentions E says the public notice requirements of this chapter do not apply to gatherings at which no public business is discussed. Because I can remember just in past, work experiences and stuff that, like, if we were to all go to somebody's, baby shower, it could be considered a breach of open, because you might be discussing business. But in this case, they're actually saying if it's a gathering where there's, like, that would not apply to us. So we can all go together somewhere as long as we don't talk business, we're good. But I think the email thing, it's like, well, it is business, so that's why it makes it not appropriate. Okay, that's what I had. And this all goes into effect January 1st.
I appreciate you bringing it to us, like I said, I'm claiming your innocence.
Yeah.
I don't have to say this thing, but, I think we
Yeah, it's helpful. They gave us a little template that Rebecca's going to use. She's got one now that she's working on so we'll have all the agenda topics and we can just fill things in. And one of the things they mentioned here is action minutes. So specifically action. So if somebody speaks, it's not what they said, it's just they spoke, and so, we can all share our opinions and things like that. But in the end, whatever the action is will be what is in the minutes, not what we all said. But of course, you can go look at the video to see what everybody said anyway, so.
Well, we have persons in group.
That's persons to be heard, yeah. We've gotten a lot of information already. I just said to Michelle, don't email me anything. So, we're going to talk about a project, that is currently housed here, and we are going to use emails because it will help us with the tracking of this project. First of all, I'm Shirley Mae Springer Staten. I have been in Alaska since 1981. Actually, I started coming to Alaska in 1979 and moved here in 1981. Could you pass it around? And I have been involved. I started with the school district, and I have been a community engaging individual since 1981. In 2015, we started our nonprofit, which is Keys to Life. And the mission of Keys to Life is to use the arts as a medium to bring people together across the divides, whatever the divides are. So we use storytelling, we use dance, we do use cooking, all the mediums in terms of bringing our community together in conversation. So in 2000, we're going to give you just a little history of this Eyes Closed project. Gabriela Olmos, who is Latino in our community, I think she was on this board at one point, brought the idea of doing the Eyes Closed project because she had done something similar in Mexico. And then we decided that we would take this project here in Anchorage. And we did it in collaboration with the Anchorage School District. We interviewed 69 children across the spectrum. We basically asked them 3 questions. What were their dreams for themselves? What were their dreams for their family? And what were their dreams for our community? Which is the context of the exhibit panel outside. We engaged the business community and the nonprofit community to be partners with us. And if you look at that packet on the last sheet, you'll see all of the nonprofit and businesses that can financially contributed to this exhibit panel. And I might add that the panel plus to have this exhibit panel installed is close to $40,000. And businesses either donated $500 or $1,000 to get their logo printed on the vase. This is actually the second installment of the exhibit panel. They were at the museum. The first installation in 2018, and there was vandalism around the exhibit. As you probably know, we have I'll say, interesting community. And so they were vandalized, and we replaced the ones that were vandalized, and they were targeting the individuals who were Muslim and Latino. And then we asked Mary Jo, who was then the director, if we could house them here. And she said yes. And that was in 2019. They have been vandalized once since they've been here, but a wonderful individual who worked here I hope he still works here, at the time, just went out and cleaned them up. And the vandalism was done, markings of the supporters of the families. credit union one was marked up, for example. So then we talked about, and if you look in an email timeline about how to make this exhibit a prompt, have a permanent home here at the library and how we could do that. And so the communication started in, you'll see in the packet an MOA that was written August 2024. And it's actually at the back of the pack. You'll see some beginning communication, and then you'll see the MOA. And I put it back to back, put back to back. We asked in the MOA in April 2024 that the exhibit panels have a permanent home. We did not get any communication about that until recently. We were going back and forth. The first communication started with Liz, who was the acting librarian, because by that time Mary Jo had moved on. So we are currently at an impasse. The library, when I looked at your mission, is, and I don't have to say it because you know it, bringing people in to learn about who we are in this community, which is exactly what the panels do. There's a greeting of, and these kids were 9 years old when they started to participate in the project. They're 17 now, and 5 of them still participate in Keys to Life projects over the years. And so I was preparing for this, and they're so innocent at 9, but so hopeful about what is possible for our community. Lourdes, who is on the front, talks about love and hope. Her dream when she was 9 was to start her own nonprofit. Guess what? Lourdes has a nonprofit that feeds the homeless. And she has worked with us over the course of years. I've had individuals who will talk about, they will bring their children to read the exhibit panel as a way of inspiring them, because all of the panels are inspiring. The question is, remove the panels. My question is, can we work together? If there's something new that's coming in, how can we integrate what's new coming in, what's already here? There is, I believe, room for hope. And I just used one from the kids panel. In this space, and how can we work together if someone else, because that's the question now, to move the panels out, because to make room for something new. And I'm saying, let's integrate whatever is new with what we have. Now, you are the first step that we're in this process in terms of talking about the feasibility of working together and integrating any new ideas that's coming to the library in that particular space that we're in, and how can we do that? That's a big question, huh? Yes. It's not that big of a question.
I have a couple of reflections. I the community's fund is on here, and
Yes, they were the funders of it.
and I was, working at the forum when they, funded this project, and I've had the pleasure of meeting Miss Tuna, many times since the project has happened. I know that the opportunities she's had through Keys to Life and the way that she's gotten a platform have created just an incredible opportunity, and that she is an incredible leader, if you've ever seen her. And I think about all of these children and the context that we are in right now, in terms of the sense of threat among immigrant communities. The sense that people can be picked up at any point in time from a holding cell or prison or jail, and without any trial or a long period until they get any sort of hearing. And I think about the messages sent in this moment to remove this project in our community, which is one of the most prominent projects supporting immigrant joy and positive images of immigrants in our community. To their sense of connection to this place, and not just the library, but to the city. Not sure I have a question, but I certainly have a position that I think it's really important.
I'm a little bit confused, are these going to be removed or? Okay.
That's the question now,
Okay.
is to remove them.
So just, yeah, specific,
Like-
what stage are we at there with?
That back in 2024, there was, so I guess there was some damage to these, and this was prior to me being here. And then some attempt to put it together an MOU because there wasn't an MOU. And our exhibits policy states that there is an MOU and that there's an end to the exhibits. And
What is,
so,
oh, you mean?
oh, memorandum of understanding.
Oh,
And so back in 2024, an MOU was being worked on, which would involve taking, I guess, down some of the ones that were
No,
damaged
yeah,
and
no.
replacing
The
them.
ones that were damaged in 2000, actually, they were damaged in March. And we received a call that they had been damaged. And it was ones that were in the entrance of the driveway. So we took down 4 of them. And the rest stayed up. And in the MOU, what we proposed was Keys to Life. If you read through the MOU,
Mhm.
Keys to Life would put a clear panel, clear protection on them to keep them from being damaged. And that in the MOU, then they would be a permanent, these would have a permanent home here. And in the ones in Mountain View, they didn't damage those, but the ones here. So that was our proposal in the MOU, April 2024.
The MOU that I had though said that it would end at the end of 2026 of April, that it would be a
That's not
two-year.
the MOU that we wrote. If you look in the MOU, we didn't have an end date.
Well, I responded to Miss Riley with the MOU that I was given.
I
With,
think I have it I have the MOU in the packet.
this isn't,
Mm-hmm.
talk about it.
It's, August the 9th, 2024. And if you look on the back of it, the agreement that Key Select says that we will remove any, damaged exhibit panels, and that Key Select will provide a clear acrylic protection for the remaining of them. That's the one that we sent to you. We did not send any memo that said that we MOU that said.
Well, I could share you one that I have because that is the one that I replied to with Susan. That's why I addressed Susan because that was the last one. And it was a 2-year agreement. And there was something in there that said that if we were going to spend the money to replace the coverings, then we would like it to be up for at least 2 years upon assessing the, like as in any exhibit, like you would assess the relevancy or the priorities or any of that with it. And that was what was in the agreement. And so that's why I said, well, 2 years would end in 2026, April of 2 years. And so that's why we were communicating now, because we do have some things going on.
Okay, so I put in her letter October the 1st, 2025. And then, your response, then she sent you another letter October the 14th. And then the last response was your response
Right,
to 12.
just the other day. Yeah.
I'd like to see that letter because that was never a request. This MOU that we sent in 2024 was the last communication about and it says clearly here, we really didn't want to remove them. We wanted to protect them so that, they wouldn't be damaged.
Well, I wonder, because see, all of our MOUs have to go through legal and our policy is that all of our MOUs have to go through legal.
Yeah,
And
that was the holdup. We sent it, we never heard anything all the time.
so there was one with Susan, as I think she emailed Elizabeth saying, I'm now your contact person on this MOU. And then that was the latest one that we had, which did have an end date, which was 2 years from, so it would have been April of 2024 that one was. And it said 2 years, which would have been April of 2026, then that it would have ended. And then I noticed it went to legal, but there's always back and forth. Like our policies obviously have gone back and forth to legal numerous times. It takes a while. And so when I came on board, because I did have somebody come to me about, I don't know if it was damaged or some questions about it. And then I asked questions and it's like, well, we were working on this MOU and our policies. And so that is why I addressed Susan Riley, because she was the last person who said, I'm your contact person, and it was 2 years.
Susan's email.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
first packet. It's the first email that was December the 9th, which she sent to Liz. And she says, I didn't address the definition of damages since we intend to maintain the panels as originally intended.
Mhm.
We can't predict what form, blah, blah, blah. Then the second one where you're talking about 2026, Susan said, and everybody can read this because I included this in your package.
We're moving forward. So regardless of what has happened in the past, there's an active MOU through, April 2026.
There is no MOU for this one.
So what was the 2026 MOU?
So there was not an MOU, which I guess became, I don't know, it was discovered that this exhibit was here without an MOU. And so I think that was an attempt to put together an MOU because we would need one for like the damages part, right? Like who's
That's-
responsible, all this stuff. Yeah. So that's what I think addressed it. So they were in the process of an MOU that never got signed. It started in 2024. But that MOU said 2 years. No.
Right. So then there's also a question of whether there is community support to renew these camps. And that is a separate file, or to actually work towards an MOU under the guidelines required. And I'm one member of this advisory board and is advisory. But my sense is that this was a very important project for our community. And particularly at this time, it would be very damaging to remove it. This is a moment in time when our immigrant community members and neighbors need as much support as possible. And I think the timing would be very poor to remove it.
Yeah, all that people, sorry.
I was gonna say that, let's just call legal and come get off their butts and, let's see if we can get an MOU that make it formal.
Yeah, it wasn't legal that, I mean, I don't know where it ended in legal because that was all before me. I was just trying to finalize it. And then came to the situation where, I mean, it said it would end in April of 2026 and that we would review it and that you were going to spend a whole lot of money to update this stuff. And there have been questions about the equitability of organizations doing this and that there should be timelines, and that typically when we have exhibits, they last no more than a year. And so that was the whole thing, is that it's been up for about 8 years and being able to do that equitably for all organizations, 8 years, we wouldn't, that really wouldn't be what we would be doing. And it sounds like what you're saying is that initially you thought it was permanent, not a.
We asked in the MOU in April, after we took, because the question really arose in April, March, that we didn't have an MOU.
Mhm.
We took the damage one step.
Mhm.
Then Susan says in her December the 9th letter, 2024, about that we would put screens on them to keep from damage.
Mhm.
Okay, so then in April of 2000, we actually sent an MOU, and that has been sitting.
That's the one I think that went to legal. That did have 2 years on it, I believe. I don't know who drafted it, if it came from.
We did.
Okay, so yeah, that's the one that I think said 2 years on it. It wasn't this one in here. There's another one.
No, we don't have another. We only sent one.
Yeah, so we don't know. So we don't know at this point who the other.
It wasn't Keys to Life.
Well, Elizabeth and Susan Riley were working together and there was an email communication with an MOU. And that was the one that I used. And it doesn't, if it's not this one.
We've only sent one. Susan helped to draft this one. that you have. That's the only one that we've sent. We haven't sent another.
No, I mean, I can share it with
And
you,
Susan have to draft this MOU that you have.
but maybe it followed because legal would have said, I mean, our policy is you have to have an end date to an exhibit. So, I mean, if this one in here doesn't have an end date, then
Well, they've never got back to us to say
Yeah, it sounds like.
there's no end date.
So Ms. Stanton, what is it that you want from the board?
Well, we don't want to remove the exhibit panels. If there's something new, and I hear that there are other opportunities to put something in that particular space where we currently have them. And our question is it something, another organization where we can integrate? You might say, well, let's take down the beginning. As you drive in, there's a beginning exhibit. I'd say, let's take that down because somebody else wants that space. That's fine. But to say, let's remove them all. Because the policy, and I'm not sure the policy right now, says that an exhibit should only stay for 8 years.
well, it would typically only stay for
So,
1 year.
So did you say before Margie that there's a policy that exhibits don't exist without legal, without going through legal?
We have an exhibits policy and it,
Well, I remember we reviewed that, but go.
I think it's kind of old, to be honest, but
Yes, what I'm saying is there's two MOUs that aren't MOUs. That have times.
yeah, we
So they
said-
don't exist.
you're right, because we sent it and it's been sitting here since
So-
April of 2024. The ball was in your court, with the library court. But you weren't here.
no,
You
I,
addressed it to Liz.
but the policy states that there's certain criteria, you know, to accept or host an exhibit and that, you
There's a
know,
current policy that says that.
yeah, it's on our website under policies.
Well, we looked and read it.
Yeah, and then it has to have an end date and all that, and so, and my understanding is that it was discovered that there wasn't an agreement, there wasn't an MOU. And it was discovered because of the damage, I guess, that occurred that, and the MOU would have all that in there, you know, like who's responsible. And there were other things that, yeah, so,
And so given the policy, given everything, the library is within its rights to whatever action it wants, and it's on the municipal property, it's, and so forth. And my understanding though is that our role as a library advisory board is to express the, be act as liaisons to express the, perspective of community members. And what I'm hearing, and I haven't read the policy, is that there's a requirement that there be an end date and an equitable process for considering exhibits. I have not seen any process for considering other exhibits or what other exhibits are on are potentials. It seems like the question is the community and is the lab as representatives of the community in support of removal of these? And personally, I am not.
I will back you up on that, because I think in more normal times, I think you probably have a point to make that this might be the natural, like, end of a life cycle of an exhibit. But we are not currently existing in normal times, and I think it's important for the board to consider that if we remove these exhibits entirely, it's making a very political statement and not one that I'm comfortable making, and one that I hope the advisory board is not comfortable making. So maybe a conversation to be had about where these billboards are displayed, if they have to,
Exhibit panels.
sorry, exhibit panels. If they need to be moved or relocated, but I think removing them entirely from the two library branches would be. I think that would be maybe not the best decision to make.
So let's vote on
at this time.
There'd also be another, you know, potential, solution that's a common ground, because I think it sounds to me like I'm hearing consensus that none of us really want, or many of us don't want to move. So, and we agree that Anchorage is a community that wants to really make sure we're supportive of all of our immigrants. You know, all of the people within our community. There's an awful lot of, you know, displays and signs throughout the city that state around, you know, like on bike trails or whatever. So is there some mechanism, if there was some rearrangement or relocation where these could be more of a permanent? I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas for discussion. Like, I'm thinking of things like, if I bike along the coastal trail, the solar system never leaves. You know, I don't know, maybe there's more room for brainstorming, discussion, and trying to work together towards a common solution that's mutually agreeable.
I do know, again, board member Michelle Moore Jones, this project had taken place before I had joined the board. But I do remember some discussion around this project, and I do remember the first or second board meeting, Ms. Shirley clarifying that they had asked a couple of different locations for this exhibit to be housed. And although we love to feel that this community is very opening and agreeing, there was quite a few areas of this community that did not want this house. And they clearly said, we do not want these panels in our area. So please don't ask them. So I think it's very important that when it found a place to land, a home where it can land here in the library, it is such an important statement, not only for the Lucent Library, but for this community. And so that's what we really just want to see. They can be housed here, maybe not take all of them down, or have another collaboration with another group that we can come together.
I think that the analogy you made to the solar system walk that was designed and spearheaded by Eagle Scout, right? Eagle Scout. I think that it was just
It's wonderful.
a kid
No, you're right. It's just-
had an idea and like worked with the city to make it happen. And that's a permanent fixture. And it probably wasn't fair that that one kid got this permanent exhibit in our city. But I think we're all better off for it, being there. And so, I mean, I appreciate a desire to have a process to determine, what exhibits, are, present and for how long. I wouldn't want to, say that we never have an exhibit that lasts more than a year. And I certainly appreciate having, you know, an end date and a reevaluation on a regular basis, just because there are things that become out of date with time. And there'll be a time when those kids are, you know, so far adults when they're my age. And the panels are, you know, sun aged and that sort of thing. I can see that there are times, but I also think that, you know, just because decisions are, I don't think that having something be a totally equal process, it is necessarily good for community either, right? The question about equity can be about access. It doesn't just have to be about equality of treatment.
And we did read your policy and procedure before, and we did not see what you're saying. We did,
The
We
exhibit
researched.
policy?
uh-huh,
Oh.
yeah.
It's,
We researched it before we changed it, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't someplace that and we do not see that in your policy and procedure, that that we can only do it by.
no, there's no, it doesn't say how long. It just says that there needs to be, one of the, I think, rules or criteria piece of it is that there's an end date to the exhibit. And that was probably why in whichever version that I had it ending April 2026. So that was, and that you were going to spend all this money on putting it up and that there would be a reassessment. And so that was my thought was we either, if we signed that one, it would end April 2026. So April 2026 was kind of coming close. And so with this whole, there's things going on that it was like, okay, maybe this would be a good time.
So again, when the MOU that you saw signed by this organization, what was it?
No, it was in the process. It had
So-
originated
So
of,
we have no one.
there is no MOU for the exhibit. And that was what started, I think, it is that there was no MOU.
So I have a suggestion. First of all, I'm a little foggy on exhibit policy and I don't feel confident talking about it anymore without it in front of me. I haven't done it maybe so recently as you did. I'd like to discuss and come back with the policy and talk about this discussion in the next meeting. That
I agree. Second motion.
I'm sorry, I can't make the motion. So somebody else made that motion.
I'll make that motion,
And so could you restate, please?
that we come back and with this policy in front of us and revisit.
And I don't think it's a policy issue. It has to go through legal. So legal would have to approve it if it just never, it never came back from.
I understand, I know it. It appears it's going to legal to die. That has happened sometimes. So, so it's not just a policy issue, but I don't feel like we can intelligently talk about it without.
The policy in front of us, or
So that's why I suggested it. So we made a motion that we come back with the exhibit policy. Is that what it's called? What's the policy called?
there's an exhibits policy.
Okay.
Yep.
It's policy and join this conversation with our next meeting.
And I can bring the MOU and the email that I had that I was, I can bring the MOU and the email that I had that I was working from,
Yeah.
but yeah,
The motion is the motion to bring whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
To be intelligent about this.
In the meantime, you can read through I have put the chain of emails in with the dates in your packet.
We have to take a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Oh, you guys take breaks.
We should vote.
Well,
Vote, oh. No.
Anything else?
Let's watch Robert's rules.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
yeah, I think we might, I don't even know what time it is.
Oh.
It's fine, thank you.
Yeah, we won't, we have to watch Robert's rules on our personal time. I don't think we have time to watch Robert's rules, so. Yes,
So
Well,
watch that on our own time.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just to save you
Just
time,
save time.
but it's all right. I'll send the other one.
we were gonna cut it in half anyway, so
I can send you the link. And I'll send you there's another video too, that's 30 minutes.
along with the two halves of this.
Well, we have one more meeting before January 1st.
Oh, we all,
So,
So board, how would you like to ingest this information, which we are required to do, so.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. You all swear.
You need email confirmation, I'm gonna send it in.
Seriously, wait, everybody.
Yeah, I'd rather watch than the meeting, but that's okay. But I mean, we've spent so much time, there really isn't time for it today.
So send-
I'll send you both links.
Okay. Well,
All right.
we have the monthly report.
Okay.
Would you like me to sit around if you want?
Thank you, but no, thank you for your time. You guys say you're welcome. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Come back again. Thank you.
Oops.
I got
Appreciate it.
I don't even know.
Very much.
Somebody's been trying to get you.
FYI.
That's not it.
Be aware.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home for it up usually.
Oh,
Hey. I think we put pieces of persons to be heard at the end because we haven't had persons to be heard for months, so.
yeah, and typically that should have been 3 minutes,
Yeah,
just saying.
I know your chair did not.
And then we can say, can you bring it to the meeting as an agenda topic or something if we wanted to, but typically that is what they were saying was that it's 3 minutes typically and you don't respond. But, oh, well. I mean, unless we want to make it new business, which we are, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there. That it is notable that it feels like a pretty significant interaction with the community that has not been mentioned in the report. And so there would have been no opportunity to really learn about it without.
This was news to me. This was like that any of these panels were being removed or we had some legal stuff going on.
We got that from.
From when you emailed us the other day, yeah.
I mean,
Or whenever.
we're getting it.
No, yeah, I mean, I didn't know they were gonna be, we just communicated recently, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
It was news to me that's also.
I intentionally stretched it. I think, more discussion, I appreciate everybody's comments and, and I think with more information to actually conversation.
Right.
I mean, I didn't. Not really that legal, they work hard and I work with the community legal department and they're wonderful people, but things you just get trapped and don't get out of it.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. I just know I had the chain email communications and that's where it was, but ultimately, that's what I was thinking is that the agreement was gonna end in 2 years, so it's almost 2 years and there have been things going on that, um, you know, if they were gonna put all that money in and then we would have to say it really needs to be removed, that didn't seem fair.
I see. That would
Yeah.
be good then.
But if they do want to put money into it and we do another 2 years, you know what I mean, then. But it does sound like there has to be a reassessment time period and that 2 years seems to be an acceptable time period. But it did seem that there was concern that they were going to be putting a lot of money into putting those covers or whatever, protective. Yeah,
I appreciate that. So.
There's some-
This you felt for acting on it, because otherwise they would, it could have been really ugly, actually. They put a lot of money into saving something that then someone was supposed to go down. I appreciate the thing.
Yeah.
that they-
and there are some grounds projects that are in the works that could require eventually that they come down. But at this point, no. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but there's some big projects. Like with sidewalks and paths and things like that, that would probably at some point require that they come down from the locations that they're currently in. And the equitability of it, with organizations coming to me asking to want the same and to be able to. So those were the impetuses really behind it, and thinking that the agreement that wasn't signed in 2024 would have been a 2-year agreement that would be ending right now, like not now, but in April of 2026. Yeah. And so, yeah.
So the ordinance that we reviewed today, that discusses, like the agenda for public meetings and so on. So
Yeah.
like the guy that spoke last month or 2 months ago about
Last month.
it was last month, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he requested to come here, so he asked us for an agenda. Is that
Yes.
Invited him.
what?
But I think we invited him.
Yeah.
That's good. But
Yeah,
then-
Yeah.
we couldn't come to the meeting because we had another meeting at the same time,
Yeah.
which is why he wrote the letter.
So then if a member of the public, wants to come and have a longer discussion with us, then the formal process is to request an agenda item. So I mean, if we follow the
Yeah, I
process
think
through the ordinance.
I think if there's something we want to take action on, then we would make it a business item.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would be like anybody can come and, like, let's just say, for instance, somebody says, I don't like your hours, I want different hours. There's not really any action we can do with that here, but we can take their input and then, look into things and get back. And, but so then it would be basically hearing them that, oh, there's this concern about your hours aren't fitting my needs and so on. But it wouldn't be, there isn't any, we couldn't actually take action on that at the meeting. But the letter, I suppose, could have been.
The time, the 3 to 5 time that we have been operating under is also important. I mean, we've had 5 or 6 members of the public lined up to say things. And so it's important to have a legitimate cutoff
Yeah.
to be able to hear everybody in the room.
Yeah.
The total rules are good.
But I mean, that's, I guess, why they said that it's always better to have the policy ahead of time or the rules rather than having to create one because of something, and so that was why it was kind of timely, because it was like, well, I didn't even realize they were here for the public. But
I didn't either, but they were, so.
yeah, I was like confused, to be honest. But yeah, so that was what at the training they said, have a policy so that you can apply it equitably. But I think for us, there isn't going to be a whole lot, like a lot of the audience participation will be things that we can't necessarily take action on. Because even that gentleman's letter, it's not like we could say, oh, yes, we're definitely going to do this, because there would be so many things you'd have to look into to figure out how you could do it and, that kind of stuff.
Well, exactly, but we're an advisory board, so we
Yeah.
can say, that sounds like, we can't direct the staff, but we can recommend to the
Yeah.
staff to look into.
Let's look
this.
into that. Yeah. Yeah.
Which has, doesn't have as much power as those other boards, but.
Yeah, but it's helpful. Yeah.
That's going to be to some degree of voice. of the community.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate your input about all of this stuff too. So, yeah.
Really may stand as most powerful member of this community.
Yeah.
That's my impressed.
Yeah, no, I hadn't met her in person. I mean, I emailed Susan Riley, who was the person who had been going back, and I think Susan might be the president or something of the board. Yeah.
So, this is the monthly report.
Monthly report.
All right. So I think I'll focus a lot on, because it seems to be called out here in October, that our community resource group is doing a lot of stuff. And so we're really, I think, lucky to have them. And they did help out a lot in the, with assistance with the evacuees and, oh, on the, well, I guess one of the things I'm pointing out is at the bottom, under recent accomplishments. The community resource group provided daily outreach and resource navigation at the Egan Center. So they helped out a lot in many different ways. And so with, providing access to materials, to offering, assisting with getting library cards. But really what I heard, what they said that was most useful or that was more popular, was like the computer assistance and helping people with applications and just finding access to resources that they need now that they're here. So that was really important, I thought. Something that group is doing now too is this application assistance program. So they're helping people with different types of applications. So people who need assistance now can spend a little more time on the computer, and they can work with the community resource group to, because anybody can go to the library and, use a computer and fill out an application, but this is kind of a special service that we have. So that's something that we're doing. Another thing that they're doing is so down at the bottom, I guess you can call it the second page, they got trained to help with education with the Highland Mountain Correctional Center. And so staff now will be able to go there and provide like outreach services. So I think that's great too. So what else? We had a lot of Halloween programs, and we were going to have the mission moment about our local author showcase today, but we didn't have enough time. So I think we'll have Amanda come back and talk about that, but it was really a success. And that was the first time it sounds like we did something like that. And it seems like it was very successful.
And so she can come next month.
Maybe, I think I actually have somebody signed up next month already, but we can probably move it to January or something like that. Yeah. But I definitely think it's worthy to have her talk about. And then just some facility things. So Mountain View finally got their sidewalks replaced. I don't know if you knew, but we had some issues.
Oh, yeah, seen that.
Oh, it was bad, yeah. And so that was something we've been wanting for a while, and it's done. So we're excited about that. And same way, another project that's kind of been taking a while and is now in the works is the HVAC controller here at LUSAC. So we're excited about that.
This thing about the company that was the vendor, the book vendor closing.
Oh, yeah.
That caught my attention.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That, so Baker and Taylor has always been one of the largest, library book vendors. I mean, especially in the academic world, they're really, I don't know what they're going to do. But anyway, so yeah, there was going to be, I guess, an acquisition, and it didn't happen at the last minute because we were all thinking that the acquisition was going to happen, and then we were going to, rather than Baker and Taylor, it would be a different vendor because they would have acquired Baker and Taylor. And it fell through and everybody was kind of surprised. And so, so now then we kind of had to go into the mode of what are we going to do now? And so we were lucky that we had some other vendors that we work with. But we still needed to get those contracts in place. So that's what we immediately started doing. So, I mean, we had library staff actually go to Barnes and Noble and buy books and bring them back, and we have to process them all ourselves now because that was part of with our Baker and Taylor account was processing, so things would come, you know, with with records, catalog records, and spine labels and all that thing, book jackets. But now we have to do that. So, but eventually, we will get set up with another vendor with processing. So it's harder. It takes a while to set up processing.
Are they just hard book vendors or are they also digital vendors?
They did some digital stuff, but I don't think we did anything through them
Yeah.
that was digital. Yeah.
And so will the new, are there only a couple? Is there only one alternative book vendor that's like reasonable for you all?
So there were always like three primary vendors for public libraries, which would be Ingram, Brodart, and Baker and Taylor. And Baker and Taylor was probably the most well-known, and also because they worked a lot with academic and special libraries, they had a larger collection, is what I always was familiar with, and that some of the others were more public focused. We have an account with Ingram, and so but there's some procurement rules, whereas we didn't have a full agreement, so we can only spend so much until you actually get a full agreement, and we've already gone to that dollar amount. So we're in the process of getting that agreement with them, which is like, we have to go like out for like a RFP, I guess. So request for proposal. And then we'll get the agreement and then we can set up processing and so on. So
Is there a risk that if the biggest player disappears, like are the others also at risk or are they fairly stable? Do you know?
I think they're stable because funny enough, I mean, Baker and Taylor was so huge and had so many customers that like Brodart actually said, we can't take any new, like we are just overwhelmed. And so, because that was going to be a route we were thinking about going to was Brodart, but then we had to pause on that. And we already had Ingram, but we didn't, I guess, it wasn't fully procured. Baker and Taylor was our primary, so. But no, I don't think there's a chance that they will. I think they're probably going to get so much business that that they'll be good.
Does it mean that the booksellers?
I know.
Chilling.
But so we might see a little delay in some of the materials, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, so
Is it Elon that does the zines, the team zines?
I'm sorry.
The team zines?
Yeah, is the question who does them?
Yeah, that's her.
I don't know actually who does the teen zines.
Keelan.
Is it Keelan? Yeah, our teen librarian.
That's a great activity and program.
I
I've
will let
been
her
to
know.
the last 2 years and seen her.
Okay. Yeah, that was the lady who was here. Was it last month? Yep.
Mhm.
That was Keelan. Yeah.
I don't have any questions.
We'll say about taking a vote on adjournment. You know,
Somebody needs to move
that we adjourn, and somebody needs to second it.
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
I'm sorry, can you second me?
I have Megan.
Megan.
Can I ask an informal question to the crowd here? So my company has a route where I can donate to a nonprofit. If